Okay. Okay, guys. So we will start our lecture 6 of solid state physics. Okay. So any doubts related to last lectures? No doubts, no queries?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, so these are the few topics we will discuss today. We will discuss about the free electron gas theory in classical mechanics and about Sommerfeld's free electron theory. And then we will discuss about the very important two topics, that is free energy, Fermi energy and density of states. And we will also solve problems based on these topics. Okay, so free electron theory. Okay, oh, this theory is very, very important because this theory explains so many important things about our solids. Okay, so basically this is about metals. So as you all know, guys, if you know about the gases, okay, we will consider that in gases we have so many number of electrons, and these electrons are moving inside the gases, okay, in a free state. So based on these assumptions, this theory, free electron theory, is based, okay? And this theory is applicable mostly on solids, okay? And we will apply this theory on metals. That means we can collect some information, important information about metals and obviously about non-metals, okay? And in this free electron theory, basically we talked about the thermal properties. Okay, so in thermal properties, what we can get about our solids: electrical properties, thermal properties, and magnetic properties also. Okay, so first thing first, Drude and Lawrence was the scientist who discovered this theory, who was the first scientist. Okay, and they gave their theory using the classical mechanics. Okay, and this theory is known as free electron gas model also. Okay, so as we are talking about that, inside the gases we have free electrons, and these inside the gases we have atoms and molecules. Okay, and these atoms move inside the gases in a free state. So the same behavior is, we can say, is a behavior of free electrons inside the metals. Okay, because inside the metals our free electrons are also moving here and there. So based on this similarity between the perfect gas and the metals, we can conclude, we can consider, is this in this free electron gas model given by the Drude and Lawrence. Okay, so we can say that the behavior of these free electrons inside the metal is somehow similar to the behavior of atoms inside the gases. Okay, guys, so this is the main reason why we are saying our metals as free electron gas model. Okay, so free electron gas model is what, guys? It's nothing, it's our metal. Okay, the metal in which the electrons, the free electrons, are moving. Okay, so the assumptions of this classical theory are, okay, so the valence electrons of atoms are free to move about the whole volume of the matter. Okay, and as we have discussed, like the molecule of a perfect gas. Okay, and these electrons are responsible for conduction because these electrons are free electrons, and that's why these electrons are known as conduction electrons, because these electrons are participating in the conduction inside the matter. So also they are known as conduction electrons. Okay, and these are the few properties. You can also uh, read in detail. So one thing, as we are using classical theory, okay, so we are using classical theory, so here we will use Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law of velocities to our electrons. Okay, and based on these distribution laws we will find out some very important properties. Okay, and one more important thing. Okay, the conduction electrons inside your metal, okay, their movement is restricted to within the crystal, because if we have electrons inside the metal, so they can only move inside the metals, they cannot jump outside your metal, okay. So we can say that there is some restriction at the boundary of our metal, okay, and we will convert this restriction in the mechanical point of view. So we consider that there is some potential energy difference, okay, between the outside environment of your metal and the inside environment of your metal, okay, and this difference of energy is basically the potential difference. So this potential difference is responsible, and it's the potential energy, this potential in energy is basically responsible so that your electrons is not jumping outside the metal, okay. So we can say that in classical theory, in Roots model, we can say that our at the behavior of our electrons is such that they are moving, they are bound inside a potential barrier, okay. So these are the few important things, these are the gist we can say about the classical theory, Roots Lawrence classical theory, okay. So this is the line, okay, this is the main line. In free electron gas model, the movement of free electrons is such that, okay, in like in a metal, it's equivalent like the free electron gas inside a potential energy box. So these are the few important points.
Ma'am,
So yes,
ma'am, one general doubt, ma'am.
yes, please.
Ma'am, what do you mean by potential barrier, ma'am?
Potential barrier, if you know in quantum mechanics, potential barrier is nothing. You can say like this, if if we have a particle, okay, and if a particle in is in state 1, okay, and there is some energy, we can say, if it is in some state, so correspondingly we will have some energy for that particular state, okay, and there is some potential energy means you can say like step, okay, when you are give me 1 second. Means if you are up सीढ़ियाँ चढ़ते हो, okay, you are going downstairs or upstairs maybe, so you are taking steps, okay. So when you are taking steps, there is some change in energy, you have to push extra pressure, okay. So potential energy, potential barrier means you have an atom, you have a particle, and उस particle के रास्ते में you are offering some disturbance, some height, okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, means step, okay. So that atom cannot go directly into the different state, okay. I can also one thing. Okay, so suppose you have a atom here, okay, or particle, okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And we have some energy here, okay, suppose E, and this is your potential barrier, means here we have energy E, and this potential barrier has some height means some energy, it's potential energy, but it has some energy. So due to some extra energy, when your this atom has only this much energy E, so it cannot directly go to this state, okay. There are some other quantum mechanical treatments, okay. So this thing is potential barrier, okay guys. Yeah, okay. So okay, so we have so many things which can be explained by classical free electron theory. So these theories means about matters, this theory can explain Ohm's law, okay, and it also explain the electrical conductivity of our metals and also thermal conductivity, and it derives Weidmann-French law. It's very interesting law, we will discuss later in this lecture also. Okay, so many things the classical free electron theory can explain, but we have so many failure as well. So Weidmann-French law, it's successfully explained by your classical theory. So this law is very, very important, okay. And this law is nothing but it basically it is describing the relationship between the electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity of your matter, Okay, and it's basically saying that the ratio of these conductivity, okay, the ratio of electric to thermal conductivity is constant at constant temperature. So sigma is what? Sigma is your electrical conductivity of your metal. K is the thermal conductivity of your metal, and this ratio is LT. L is some constant, okay? L is some constant and T is your temperature. So if we are talking about at constant temperature, so this term will be constant. So we can say sigma upon K is constant at constant temperature. So it's Weidmann-French law, okay? So these are the drawbacks of classical free electron theory. What are the drawbacks? Electrical conductivity of semiconductors and insulators could not be explained. Okay, so this is the drawback. It could not explain the photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and black body radiation. So these are the few we can say quantum mechanical we can say concepts. So these concepts, these phenomena, these could not be explained by your classical theory. And one more thing, this Weidmann-French law, we can say, is not applicable at lower temperature. So it means classical theory can only explain this law for high temperature. Okay, it's not feasible at low temperature according to classical theory. Ferromagnetism could not be explained by this theory, and the theoretical value of paramagnetic susceptibility is greater than the experimental value. And according to classical free electron theory, the specific heat of metal is 5.4 R. And what we have seen experimentally that it should be 3 R. Okay, 6 is not here. I will correct. Okay, so 3 R. So these are the few drawbacks of classical free electron theory, and I am discussing these drawbacks because in 1 mark there will be some statements mostly in gate examination. Okay, so if you know the success of these theory, drawbacks of this theory, so it would be helpful for you sometimes. So before going further in detail, first we need to understand these important terms. Okay, if you are reading, if you are studying about the free electron theory about metals, so you should have read first these important terms. So first thing is drift velocity. Okay, it is nothing, it's basically the average velocity which is acquired by your free electrons of matter in a particular direction if you are applying some electric field. Means if you are applying electric field, so due to that electric field inside the metal, the velocity acquired by your free electrons is known as drift velocity, Vd. Okay, relaxation time, this time is basically the time which is taken by the free electron to reach its equilibrium position from the disturbed position in the presence of electric field. I'm not giving you much detail, but I'm telling you like if you have we can say metal. Okay, in metal we have so many electrons, and due to electric field means you are applying electric field, so you are applying some electric force, and in the presence of these force the electrons will be disturbed. Means some electrons will go this side. Okay, so okay, so these electrons are disturbed. So the time taken by these electrons to reach to these equilibrium state from disturbed state is known as relaxation time. Okay, and what is the collision time? Collision time is the average time taken by the free electrons between two successive collision. Means inside the metal number of electrons are there, and so that they will collide. Definitely they will collide. So it's the time which is telling you the average time taken by electron between two successive collision. Okay, and current density, J, what is current density? It's nothing, it's the we can say current per unit area. So J is I upon A. I is your current and A is area. Yes.
Ma'am, in relaxation time, what about equilibrium position?
Equilibrium means
equilibrium.
Equilibrium means like as I said, due to the electric force, your electrons will be disturbed. Means their motion, their velocity will be increased. Okay, initially when you are not applying any force, they will be in the normal state. Means equilibrium state means their natural state. Okay, they can move. Okay, but their movement will be under no force. Okay, because there is no force, there is no external force, so their movement will be like normal due to some internal phenomena. Okay, so this is the equilibrium state. Means equilibrium means what? There is no external thing. There is no external force. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is okay.
Yes.
So yeah. So your current density is I upon A, and you can also calculate I from this. Okay, I will be the integration of J dot ds. Okay, if we represent this area element in terms of ds, ds is the area element. Okay, so you can also derive I will be integration of J dot ds. Okay, so these are the important things which are required, and sometimes you will have problems based on these terms. So next is free mean free path. This is also very important. So free electrons in a metals are continuously moving, okay, in all direction and with various speeds. Okay, so the frequently collide with each other because they are moving continuously. So it's obviously possible that these electrons will collide frequently, and therefore they move in a straight line with constant speeds between two successive collisions. So this distance which is traveled by your electron between two successive collisions is known as free path. Okay, and their mean is known as mean free path. Means if your atom, if your electron is colliding with different electrons, okay, so between the successive collision, the distance traveled by your electron is free path, and the mean, their mean will be mean free path. Okay, so you can okay, this is the formula. Okay, if your lambda is your mean free path, and we can say this c bar is the mean square velocity. A mean square velocity is what you can also represent is by v bar. It's 3 kt upon m. Okay, you all know this formula. And tau will be your collision time. Okay, so this is the formula. These relations are very small but very, very important. Okay, and this is the expression of drift velocity. So you can find out that drift velocity in terms of electric field. Okay, and relaxation time also. So like I'm not giving you, if you want I can tell you the derivation, but it's easy. So your vd, okay, 1 minute guys. Okay, so your vd is e tau r upon m. Means E is the charge of your electron, E is the electric field. We are applying this electric field. Okay, and this tau, we can say this is the relaxation time. Okay, and this is m, your mass of your electron. So this is the famous relation, and I hope that you have already know this formula. Okay, you know this formula, or you want me to tell the details?
No need, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
No need.
So expression for mean collision time. Okay, we can also, we are talking about the time. The time is nothing, distance upon velocity. So we are talking about the mean collision time. So it will be like mean free path upon velocity of your electron. So tau will be lambda upon v in this way. And we can also find out the mobility of electron. Okay, so mobility is basically the ratio of drift velocity and applied electric field. Means mu is Vd upon E. You know the formula of your, we can say, relation between Vd and E also. And you also know that your J equals to sigma E. Okay, you know this formula. So you can put like all these formulas together and you can find two values. Okay, so one thing, your sigma is Ne mu from this formula, and you can calculate the value of mu in terms of these terms. Okay, so mu will be this Ne square tau upon m. So these are the relations between these general terms. So now we have discussed few important things about the classical theory, Ropers-Lorentz classical theory. So now as this theory is failed in so many things, so now Sommerfeld was a scientist who opted the quantum mechanical treatment on the free electron gas. Okay, and based on these assumptions, quantum theory, he explained so many important things about the free electron gas. Okay, so Sommerfeld explained this free electron theory using quantum mechanical theory. And as we are talking about quantum mechanical theory, so we have to apply the statistics on these electrons. Okay. And what are the two quantum mechanical, we can say, statistics which we can apply? Fermi-Dirac and Bose-Einstein, you know, na? But Fermi-Dirac we can apply on the particles having spin integral, odd in half integral spins, okay, like 0, half, okay. So you are talking about free electron gas, okay, so means we are talking about electron. And what is the spin of electron, guys?
Half. Plus half minus half.
Yeah, great. So that's why we can only apply the free Fermi-Dirac statistics on your free electron gas model, okay. So in it is written here ki, okay, so we are applying Fermi-Dirac distribution law, and all the particles in the system are indistinguishable, okay. These electrons are indistinguishable, and that's why they obey Pauli's exclusion principle, okay. And Pauli's exclusion principle, what this principle says, it says that not more than two electrons or particles can occupy the same energy level, okay. So this is the Pauli exclusion principle, and we can apply this theory on fermions having these types of spin, okay. So this is the something, some important things about the Sommerfeld quantum theory. So before moving further, okay, in detail what he discovered, what Sommerfeld discovered, first we need to understand about the Fermi energy, because Sommerfeld talk about the Fermi energy. So what is the Fermi energy, guys? Like suppose we have these energy states, okay, these are the different energy states, 1, 2, 3 and so on, we can say, and these are the particles, these are the electrons in these different energy states, okay. So the energy of the highest occupied level at 0 Kelvin, means we are talking about this phenomena at 0 Kelvin, okay. So at 0 Kelvin, the energy of this highest occupied energy level is known as Fermi energy, okay. So means this is your Fermi energy, EF. You are getting my point, because there is no energy state above this state having any number of electron. So this is the highest occupied state. So its corresponding energy will be your Fermi energy, okay. And this level is said to be Fermi level, okay. And the Fermi level is, we can say, is the energy level for which the probability of occupation is 1/2 or 50%. Means at any temperature T, we can say this state is at 0 Kelvin. And if we are talking about a particular temperature, so at that temperature, the probability of occupation of this Fermi level will be half, okay. Means there will be 50% chance of occupation, okay. So we will see how we can get half. So in we are talking about Sommerfeld theory, we are talking about Fermi energy, we are talking about electrons, these are basically fermions. So we will use Fermi-Dirac statistics. And what is the formula for Fermi-Dirac? The distribution formula means the occupation statistics tells you that F of sigma epsilon I is the energy of your ith level, okay. Suppose this atom is the ith level, so its energy will be epsilon I. So it will be 1 upon e to the power epsilon I minus epsilon n upon kT plus 1. So this epsilon F is the energy of the Fermi level. This K is Boltzmann constant, T is absolute temperature. So this is the Fermi function, okay, which is given by your Fermi-Dirac statistics. So we will see the detail about this function, okay. We will see the effect of temperature on this distribution function. So when your material is at is at a temperature, we can say T. Okay, when the material is at a temperature T, below the Fermi energy levels are okay. So you are talking about this is T equals to 0. This is nothing but this is T equals to 0, okay. your temperature is 0 Kelvin, and when your temperature is 0 Kelvin, what will be the scenario? The scenario will be like this. All the states, all the levels below your Fermi energy levels are totally fulfilled, and above this energy levels there are no atoms. Okay, like if this is I already discussed with you, this is the scenario at 0 Kelvin. So you can see at 0 Kelvin, below Fermi level, all the energy states will be filled, and above the Fermi level, all the energy states are empty. Okay, and we can say when it receives thermal energy, means we are increasing the temperature, so the electrons are getting thermal energy. So due to this thermal energy, the electrons can jump to the excited states. Okay, and the occupation of electrons in these energy levels will obey this Fermi-Dirac statistics law, right? So this is the scenario for higher temperature, means your T, when your T is greater than 0 Kelvin, okay, and your epsilon I is epsilon F, means we are talking about the Fermi level. So the occupation probability for particular, we can say, ith energy states will be 1/2. Okay, so you can put epsilon I equals to epsilon F here. Okay, so this term will be 0, and e to the power 0 is how much, guys? 1. So it will be 1/2. So F epsilon will be 1/2. At T equals to 0, for energy level greater than epsilon F, means greater than Fermi energy level, the occupation probability is 0, because we are saying that above the Fermi level there is no atom, there is no electron. Okay, and also at T equals to 0 Kelvin, when your energy is lower than the Fermi energy level, there will be all the energy states will be filled, means this will be 1. So you can also deduct the value of this. When you can say the value of this term, it will be greater than 1. So it will be, we can neglect this term, and it will be, it will be 0. So it will be 1/1. So 1. Okay. So these are the very important parameters. And this is the graph. This is the distribution curve between your Fermi function and, we can say, the temperature on this axis, and your Fermi function on this axis. So guys, if you are talking about T equals to 0 Kelvin, so this is the scenario. So this, you can see these lines. Let me take the pointer. I think you already know this thing, but let me tell you once more. Okay, so this line, this is the case when your temperature is 0. And what this thing is telling you, that here you can see when your temperature is we can say 0 Kelvin, if you are talking about your energy level is greater than epsilon F, it will be, function will be 0, means, okay, so this is telling you this thing, means Fermi level is the highest filled energy level. And as you are increasing temperature, like you can see, this is a 500 Kelvin, this is 5000 Kelvin. So the graph will be like this. If we are talking about, we can say 500 Kelvin, it will be like this. Means some states below your Fermi level can be unoccupied, because if you are increasing temperature, so the atoms, the particles below the Fermi level can jump to the higher energy state, and some energy levels above your Fermi level can be filled. And as you are increasing temperature, this phenomena will keep on increasing. So this is the scenario about the Fermi-Dirac distribution law. So one more important thing, I think you already heard about sometimes this term, chemical potential. Okay, so the same formula we will use, the Fermi-Dirac distribution function. It will be 1/e to the power epsilon I minus epsilon F. Okay, we have epsilon F here, but we are writing here mu. So what is the meaning of mu? Mu is basically the chemical potential, and it's basically nothing. It is a Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin. So it is a Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin. Okay, guys. And this function mu depends on your temperature T. So at absolute 0, your mu equals to epsilon F. Okay. Because when your temperature tends to 0, your function, Fermi function, changes discontinuously from 1 level to 0 level. So this is the state change. And when we are talking about the discontinuous change in the state, we are talking about the chemical potential. You will discuss, I think, in thermodynamics now, you will find some details about this term. But for now, you can understand your mu is EF at T equals to 0. Okay, got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, in previous slide, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, yeah, there is a two possibilities, ma'am. At T is equal to 0 K, epsilon I is greater, ma'am. And same way, T is equal to 0, epsilon I is smaller than epsilon F, ma'am. There is two possibilities, ma'am.
One. So,
One.
So what you are asking?
At T is equal to 0 K, if epsilon I is greater, ma'am. There is second possibilities. T is equal to 0, epsilon I is smaller than epsilon F.
But I have written this thing. Huh? You are asking me why I'm writing here 1?
No, ma'am. At T is greater than 0 K, ma'am. At T is equal to 0 K, ma'am.
Okay.
In third step, at T is equal to 0 K, if epsilon is smaller than EF, at T is equal to 0 K is two possibilities. Either epsilon I is greater or epsilon I is smaller. There is two possibilities, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Properties because we are talking about the it's nothing. You can see this figure now. At T equals to 0, we have two states. Okay, if we are talking about some energy level epsilon I having energy greater than this epsilon F, so function is 0, means there is no occupation of electrons. Okay, and if we are talking about that your epsilon I is less than epsilon F, means we are talking about these energy levels at T equals to 0. So the occupation probability is 1 because we have filled energy states. So this is these two. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so we were discussing about the Sommerfeld free electron theory. So Sommerfeld free electron theory choose the quantum mechanical treatment, means he will use what he used the Schrodinger equations to describe the states of these free electrons. So first Sommerfeld took the case of one dimension. Okay, suppose we have a free electron gas, and this gas is inside the one dimensional potential energy box. Okay, so he saw the behavior of this electron gas inside this one dimensional potential energy box. Okay, so this is a potential energy box. We can say the length is L. So he chose this equation, so Schrodinger equation, H psi equals to E psi. Okay, and apply the boundary condition. Okay, means at x equals to 0 and at x equals to L, your wave function must be 0. So suppose this is your potential box. Okay, and these are the boundaries, x equals to 0 and x equals to L. So what quantum mechanics says? It says that at boundaries your wave function should be 0, means at 0 and L. So he used these assumptions, and then he find the solution for this particular equation. Okay, and your lambda is we can say is a wavelength. Okay, so so he find out based on these wave function solutions, he derived the relation between the energy of particle, okay, relative to, and this energy of this particle will relate to this length of your potential energy box. Okay, so this is the relation of energy. This is a free electron, this is, we can say, free electron energy of your gas, electron gas in one dimension. Okay, And he used these assumptions, means Hi equals to E psi, then boundary conditions, then this is the solution, okay? And this is your important thing, means your En means the energy for particular state n will be h cut square upon 2m n pi over L to the power 2, okay? So this n is nothing, is the energy principal quantum number, because you are talking about the first state, second state, so correspondingly this n will be the principal quantum number. And we have this relation between this lambda and n, and this is very important. So you can see here, these are the energy states 1, 2, and 3 based on n equals to 1, n equals to 2, and n equals to 3. And this is the behavior of your wave function. You will see in quantum mechanics in detail. So this is the lambda. So lambda equals to 2L upon n. So for n equals to 1, lambda will be 2L. Okay. And what is lambda? What is lambda? What is the wavelength means? You know now. The length for whole the cycle, it will be like this, this, this. So this whole term will be, we can say L lambda. So and lambda is 2L. So it will be half of this thing will be L, means this is the half. Okay. For n equals to 2, your lambda will be L. Okay. So it will be like this. Okay. So these are the three values of lambda based on the three values of n. So this is the very important formula which will which is telling you about the energy of nth state for your electron inside the one-dimensional potential energy box. So in this way, we can also find out the Fermi momentum and Fermi velocity. So your Fermi energy, okay, we will also talk about the Fermi energy. So n is the principal quantum number, okay, and we can see in if total number of atoms we have n, okay, so n will be 2n. How 2n? This is the state, guys. 1 state, 2 state, 3 state, and in each state, how many electrons we can have? 2. So it means in it means in small n states we can have capital N number of electrons. So if we have this n, this capital N number of electrons, so how much energy states we will need to occupy these electrons? Small n, because in each state we can have 2 electrons, so it will be 2n. So we will use this relation, and so that we can find the Fermi energy. So the same formula, we will choose this formula and we will replace this n by using this relation. So your final formula for Fermi energy is h cut square upon 2m n pi over 2l to the square equals to, you can say this, n square pi square h cut square upon 8m l square. And your n is, you can see 1, 2, and 3. So this is very, very, very important formula. And in this way, all the Fermi energy in 2 dimension, 3 dimension are very, very important. So we know the Fermi energy. So we can also calculate the Fermi momentum. And what will be the momentum formula? It's P equals to hk. And we are talking about Fermi level. So it will be Pf equals to h cut kf. And your kf is n pi over L. Okay. When you will use this thing, you can find out the function is basically a sine kx upon a sine kx. Okay. And based on this term, your k will be n pi over L. Okay. And what would be your Fermi velocity? Formula of Fermi velocity in terms of k means wave vector is h cut k over m. Okay. So you can also calculate the value of Fermi velocity and Fermi momentum. Just note down these things. These are the important things. Okay. And in similar way, what Sommerfeld did next, he see the behavior of free electron gas inside the three-dimensional potential energy box, and he repeated all the same steps. Okay. And what he find out that the Fermi energy inside the 3-dimension potential energy box will be h cut square kf square upon 2m. This is a general relation between energy and wave vector equals to h cut square k square upon m. And in 3-dimension potential energy box, your kf means wave vector will be 3 pi square n over v. So just put the value of kf here. Okay, so your formula will be h cut square upon 2m 3 pi square n over v to the power 2 by 3. In place of capital N over v, it will be n, means number density, means number of electrons per unit volume. So this n will be n upon v, okay, and n will be 1, 2, 3. So either you can use this formula or this formula, but you need to understand the difference between this capital N and small m, okay, and your wave vector is this. One minute, guys. This term is not here. Okay, this is not here. So kf is 3 pi square n over v to the power 1 by 3. Okay. So in the same way, you can find out Fermi momentum, means P equals to h cut kf. Kf is 3 pi square n over 1 by 3. And Fermi velocity also h cut kf upon m. So you can use all these terms. So what about the 2-dimension? Yes, we will also find out the Fermi energy and all the important things in 2-dimension. So in 2-dimension, your Fermi energy is this, okay? Using the same assumptions which we are talking about in 3-dimension and 1-dimension, okay? So just your Fermi energy in 2-dimension is n pi h cut square upon m, and this is the density, n is the density. So in 2-dimension, this n will be number of particles, number of electrons per unit area, because it's 2-dimension case now, so area will be there, so n will be n upon capital A. So Fermi momentum you can also calculate, and your we can say Fermi wave vector is 2 pi n to the power 1 by 2 here. You can also find out using this formula, okay? Your h cut square equals to your EF is basically h cut square k square upon m. So using this formula, you can find out the value of kf from this formula. So you need to remember only the formula of Fermi energy in these 3-dimension 1, 2, and 3. And if you know these relation, you can find out the value of wave vector, corresponding wave vector, corresponding Fermi momentum, and corresponding Fermi velocity. So these 3 slides, these 3 formulas which are in these 3-dimension are important. So few problems based on Fermi energy. This is the quite simplest I guess. So for a 2-dimension free electron gas, what is the relation between electron density? Electron density means n, and Fermi energy EF. Okay, so it's nothing, this formula. In 2-dimension, your Fermi energy is this, n pi h cut square upon m. So you just need to tick on the right formula. Okay, so this is again from GATE examination. Given that the Fermi energy of a gold is 5.54 eV and the number density of electron is. So what you have, guys, you have Fermi energy and you have to calculate the number density, means n, you have to find out. So what you will use, if if there is nothing, means we are not talking about the dimension here, okay, they didn't mention, so it's automatically means that it's the case of 3-dimension. So in 3-dimension, what is the relation between Fermi energy and number density? It's h cut square upon 2m 3 pi square n to the power 2 by 3. Okay, so your n is capital N over v, and we have to find out the value of this small n. So put all the values, okay, you can solve this these equation, okay, I need not to solve the calculation part now. So you can find out the value of your n, and it will be 5.9 into 10 to the power 28 per meter cube. Okay, it's the numeric answer type question, so we don't have options here, okay, and we have all the values of these constants. So using that, you can find out your answer. Got it? Koi issue?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. आपकी प्रिपरेशन कैसी चल रही है? What you are preparing right now? You are preparing or not by yourself?
Yes, ma'am, we are doing.
Okay. So next weekend, in next week now you will have a quiz on mathematical physics and on thermal also. Okay, so start preparing lectures. Okay, what your teacher covered so far, na? So just prepare all these things. And one thing, if you will prepare like simultaneously, so it would be great for you, because if you are like not reading all these things, not watching all the videos regularly, so it will be like at the end now you will be confused, and at that time it not be possible to solve all your queries. Okay, so just prepare and note down your queries, your doubts, and ask your respective teachers. Okay. So this is the CSIR net December 2011. If the number density of a free electron gas in 3D is increased 8 times, its Fermi temperature will be. So it's very, very simple. Okay, they are talking about to increase the number density 8 times. So use the same formula, Fermi energy formula for 3D. It is h square upon 2m 3 pi square and to the power 2 by 3. Okay, and now they are using in place of n this 8n. Okay, so your new Fermi energy will be 4 EF, means EF is this h cut square upon 2m 3 pi square n to the power 2 by 3. So it will be 4 TF, the relation between the Fermi temperature for new state and the initial case. Okay. Next is the radius of Fermi sphere of free electrons in a monovalent metal with an FCC structure in which the volume of the unit cell is A cube is. One thing, guys, I want to tell you this thing. I'm not giving you the detail, but I will give you few slides so that you can relate. One thing. Okay. When we will discuss about the Fermi energy in these 3 dimensions, okay, the main point is that we what is the value of this kf? Okay, this is a wave vector in 3 dimensions, okay, and it's 3 pi square n over v ka whole square, okay, to the power 1 by 3. So to calculate the value of this Fermi energy in terms of k, okay, we draw a sphere. If we are talking about in 3 dimensions, so we will draw a sphere of radius this kf, okay, and based on this sphere we calculate these things. Okay, so if some where you find that the radius of your Fermi sphere, so Fermi sphere is what we are talking about, the sphere having radius kf, so the Fermi radius is kf. Okay, I will also give you few slides for your convenience. So this is what the question is telling you. The radius of Fermi sphere means they are talking about kf, and they are talking about sphere, so we are in 3 dimensions, of a free electron in a monovalent metal with an FCC structure in which the volume of the unit cell is A cube. So guys, in 3 dimensions, what is the value of your kf? What will be the radius of Fermi sphere? Tell me, what is the kf for 3D?
Pi square n by v the whole raised to 1 by 3.
Yeah, great. So this is the formula. So this is your kf. I also again write this thing by mistake. Let me correct this. Okay, you're getting? This is not here. So simply your kf is 3 pi square n over v to the power 1 by 3. This is your Fermi radius. Okay, and we have to find out this for FCC structure. So what is this n upon v? This is n. And for FCC structure, what is the effective number of atoms inside the FCC lattice? 4.
Okay.
4, right? And what is the volume? We will be A cube. So you need to just put the value of 4, that is n here. So it will be 4 pi square, and on the place of B, the volume A cube. So it will be like this. Okay. So easy. It's easy. Okay. So, okay. So we are talking about Sommerfeld theory now. So we have had to understand this thing. Okay, density of states, and it's also very important if you are giving NET or GATE examination. So what is the meaning of density states? These things all the same things, because we are talking about the free electron gas. So we will discuss about the density of states. So what Sommerfeld corrected in classical theory, what he corrected, that the possible energy states for electron and distribution of electrons in these states can be determined quantum mechanically. Means he introduced the concept of Fermi function. So he is talking about the different energy states, means density of states. So density of states is nothing but it's basically the number of energy states, the number of energy states, allowed energy states for your particles, means your electron, hole, or any other particle you can say, per unit energy range. Okay, so allowed energy states for your particle per unit energy range is the density of states. Okay, and this density of we can say density of states is not limited for electron only, for photon, for phonons, and for all there are so many particles, other particles, and for those particles we can find out this density of states. Okay, in terms of energy and in terms of wave vector k also. So now we will see the density of states for 3 dimension, these 3 dimensions cases. So the formula of density of states is dn over de. If this dn is the number of energy states in some energy range, we can say E to E plus de. So in that case, the formula will be this. You can also find out this density of states in term of k, and generally it will be dk equals to dn upon dk. We can convert the value of E in terms of k, because we have a relation between energy and wave vector. So accordingly, we can convert. Okay. So in 1 dimension, your density of states is this. I will also tell you how you can find out the exact formula. Okay. So for now, you need to remember these formulas, because these are the important thing. So for 1 dimension, your density of states will be 4L upon H m upon 2E to the power 1 by 2, means it's inversely proportional to e to the power half. In 2D, your density of states is 4 pi ma over h square, means in 2 dimension density of states is independent of energy, there is no E. And in 3D, it's v upon 2 pi square 2m upon h cut square to the power 3 by 2 e to the power half. So in 3D, it depends on e to the power 1 by 2. So these are the important relation. These are the important relation, Fermi energy and density of states in these 3 dimensions. I'm repeating this again and again because I know how important this is. So this is the thing, how you can calculate the density of states in 3 dimension. So suppose we have this 3 dimension space, K space. Okay. So in K space, how you will calculate the density of states, the formula is same. Okay, energy states per unit energy range. So first we will see, this is your, we can say a part of your K sphere. Okay, and you can say these are the 3 vectors. So as a whole, we can say the radius of your Fermi sphere is K. So total volume of your Fermi sphere will be 4 pi K cube over 3. And you can also write this volume like this. Okay, means surface area into dk. If you are dividing this in terms of strip, okay, so you can also relate this volume as this surface area into this dimension. Okay, so V is the volume of your crystal, and if you are talking about single state, so you can say these things, these small things. So for single atom, if we are talking about a single atom, a single particle, so there is a small volume that should be there so that your electron can occupy this state. Okay, so what is the minimum required volume for your electrons to be stay in that particular state? It will be represented by this. Okay, it will be represented by these single cubes. Okay, and the dimension of these this cube is pi by a, pi by b, and pi by c. Okay, this is the assumptions. Okay, so you can say that the volume which is required for your electron, okay, it will be pi by a, pi by b, pi by c. So it will be basically pi cube over L cube or pi cube over V. So you can find out the number of filled states using this thing. Means the whole volume divided by the volume of your electron. Okay, so it will be this, but this is the correction term. Okay, while we use this formula, we will there is some correction issue, so later they are corrected. Okay, and so that they can multiply by this term, 2 into 1 by 8, and it's basically 1 upon 4. Okay, and what is the meaning of this 2 sorry, we are talking about the electron. So electron can take two states. Okay, because electron has plus minus half spin. So this 2 is coming from there, and this 1 upon 8, because we are just taking this 1 upon 8th portion of your sphere, and we are discussing in this portion only. So 1 upon 8 will be this. So the whole thing is this. So this is how you can calculate the density of states. Okay, so average kinetic energy in 1 dimension, 2 dimension, and 3 dimension you can calculate for your free electrons. So you have your free electrons. Okay, and we are talking about temperature T and the density of states for your electron in particular we can say whole crystal we are talking about, it's dE. So your D is density of states, and what is the formula of density states? dN over dE, right? And your Fe is the occupation probability. So if you can apply, if you can multiply the density of states with the occupation probability, so that you can find out the total possible number of electrons, right? So your total number of electrons will be density of states multiply the occupation probability. So you can also calculate if we are seeing in the energy range E to E plus dE. So your NEDE will be dE, FE, dE. So this is the important thing. So using this relation, you can find out the average kinetic energy by using this formula. So while you are trying to find out the average of some term, so it will be E not bar. Okay, average of kinetic energy, average kinetic energy of your electron. So it will be total energy of your system divided by total number of electrons. So for calculating total energy, you have to take summation, you have to take integration. Okay, because this term is the total, we can say an energy function. So E into dE, Fe, dE, it will be your total energy. So you can calculate for 3D this thing using the formula of dE for your 3 dimension, and Fe will be 1 by 2. Or first you are talking about at any temperature T, so you have to choose the Fermi function, the value of whole Fermi function. So you can calculate the value of this E naught bar. So for 3D it will be 3 upon 5 EF naught. Okay, and this is for single electron. So if you have n number of electrons, so corresponding kinetic energy will be 3 upon 5 and EF0. EF0 is the Fermi energy at temperature 0 Kelvin. Okay, and in one dimension your energy, kinetic energy will be 1 upon 3 EF0. And similarly for n number of electrons, your formula will be this. So this is the important relation. And this thing, guys, you will understand how important this is. Just use your, Okay. Just check the previous year's question papers and then you will realize how important this relation. So this is the, we can say this is the trick, we can say, and this is the short formula to figure out the relation between the density of states and your energy. So you will find some questions in these exams, and in these questions energy will be given, okay, and energy will be given in terms of K. So if your energy vector or energy is proportional to K to the power n, so K is your wave vector, okay, and n is some constant in d dimension, and dimension is also given to you, and you have to answer how your density of states will depend on E. So for this, you need to choose this formula. You need to apply this formula. So density of state is proportional to e to the power d minus n over n. D is what? D is dimension. N is what? N is the constant. Okay, this constant. Okay, k to the power n. Okay, so using this formula, you can find out so many problems. So like you can see this example in 3D, energy vector E is proportional to k square. So that density of states will be, use this formula, D on place of D, put 3, N is 2, so it will be 3 minus 2 over 2, so e to the power half. Your density of states will depend on e to the power half. Got it, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this problem is from June examination. If the energy dispersion for two-dimension energy system is E, that is U h cut k, where U is velocity, k is momentum, and how density of states will depend on the energy. Guys, one thing. If we are talking about the wave vector, what is the relation between wave vector and Fermi momentum? Tell me. What
P is equal to h cut k.
Right. So if E depends on K, and they are saying here that K is momentum, not wave vector, so it means ki, it will be on the same power. Means if E is proportional to K, okay, and K is your momentum, so E will be, we can say E will be proportional to K if it's your wave vector, because the relation is quite linear. Okay, so don't be confused. We will use the same formula. So dE proportional to e to the power d minus n over n, and E is proportional to K, guys. E is proportional to K, and K, the power of K is 1. So your n will be 1 and dimension is what? 2. So your D will be 2. Put these things here, and how what you will get, your density of a state is proportional to E. Okay. Sometimes questions will be looking very different. So many things will be given in questions. Okay. And also somewhere the relation between E and K and dimension will be there. Okay. So you if you need to answer the density of states, just read the question once carefully and apply simply this formula and you will get your answer. The energy dependence of the density of states for a two-dimensional non-relativistic electron gas is given by this. Where C is constant, the value of N is. Somewhere on the place of DE, you will find this GE. But they are talking about density of states. So guys, this is density of states, no issue. And this density of states, they are talking about 2D. So in 2D, what is the formula of density states? 4 pi ma upon h square. I think you can be like you are thinking that the formulas are very complicated. We cannot remember these formulas. Okay. So guys, let me tell you this thing. If you are preparing and if you are practicing questions, okay, so once you will practice 2-3 questions, okay, based on these formulas, now you will automatically remember all these formulas because they are not difficult at all. So for 2D, your density of states is this 4 pi ma upon h square, and you have to find out the value of n. Means they are saying that for 2D, this is a formula. So you can see that your density of states in 2E is independent of E. Means E should not be there. Means what would be the value of N? It's simply 0. Okay. Only in that case your ZE will be independent of E. So your N is 0. The value of N will be 0. Got it? Next, from NET exam, the pressure for a non-relativistic free electron gas in 3D depends at T equals to 0 on the density of fermions and S. Okay. So you need to find out that the pressure in pressure for Fermi gas means PF. They are talking about PF, and we have to find out how PF depends on this. Okay, so what you know the relation of Fermi energy. Okay, EF equals to this formula. Okay, and in place of N upon V, you can also put N. Okay, and you can also know the kinetic energy formula, this formula. So what you need to find out this formula. Okay, one second guys. The pressure of non-realistic, sorry, PF is basically Fermi momentum. So they are not talking about momentum, they are talking about pressure, and pressure is V. And in statistical law, in thermodynamic and statistical law, the formula of pressure in terms of energy is this: P equals to minus del E over del P. Okay, and as I'm writing here PF, so this is not this is pressure. Okay, this is pressure for Fermi gas, so this is also PF, but don't be confused, this is not Fermi momentum. Okay, so this is the formula. So first you need to find out the value of this E, means the total energy for your system, and your system is what? Your system is for free electron gas. Okay, so Fermi energy formula this, but we cannot use this formula because this is not total energy. This is the energy of Fermi level. Okay. And what is the average energy? Average kinetic energy? This is the formula. So from here we will find out. Okay. We will find out the total energy, or your total energy will be this 3 upon 5N, and on the place of this EF naught we will put this. Okay. So this is a formula of your total energy. So now we will differentiate this E with respect to V at constant N, so that we can find out the pressure for our Fermi gas. Okay, so differentiate this term. You have V here. Okay, just differentiate and it will be V to the power, and this N, yeah, so it will be this. Okay, and you can differentiate this term. V to the power minus 2 by 3, and once you will differentiate, the power will be minus 5 by 3. So minus 5 by 3. Okay, and it will be minus 5 by 3, and N is 2 by 3 from here and 1 here. So 1 plus 2 by 3 is 5 by 3. So it will be N upon V to the power 5 by 3. And N upon V is what? Number density, means small n. So simply your total, we can say the pressure of this gas will be proportional to N to the power 5 by 3. So your option A is correct option. Tell me if you have any query in this question. No.
The total energy term, it is not clear.
Okay. See this thing now, this formula E naught bar equals to 3 upon 5 N epsilon naught. This is the average kinetic energy of your electrons. Okay. This is basically the total energy of your N electrons, means total energy of your system. And this is in terms of EF0, means Fermi energy at 0 Kelvin. Okay. So you need to first put the value of this EF0 now. Okay. And the value of this Fermi energy is this. Okay. Put this formula. Why we are putting the value of EF? Because we have to differentiate this term, total energy term, with respect to V. So first we need to find out the formula of E, this E naught bar, or we can say this E in terms of this volume term. Okay. So we are putting the value of EF naught. Okay. So V, so that we can have V, and so that we can differentiate. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
And don't be confused. You can think that this should be the case. When means this should be the total energy. So this is the Fermi energy, energy of Fermi level. Total energy you can only calculate from this formula. Okay. Next problem is a thin metal film of dimension 2 into 2 mm contains 4 into 10 to the power 12 electrons, and the magnitude of the Fermi wave vector of the system in the free electron approximation is. Can you solve the question? Try. I will tell you the formula if you give me the hint.
K is equal to 2 pi n whole power.
Acha, one by one. Okay, who is speaking, Justin or Hasmukh?
Justin, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Tell me your formula.
From K is equal to 2 pi n whole power 1 by 2.
Yeah, great. And Hasmukh?
And we are using two-dimensional Fermi energy equation.
Right, two dimension. So use two dimension, and what is the formula, you remember? Aarti?
N pi by.
No, you know, na? Okay, no issue. Shravya, you there, na?
Yes, ma'am. Doing, ma'am.
Acting? Confused. Okay, no issue. Arya?
N pi by L.
Okay, so it's simple. Justin was right. This is the two-dimension case now, because it's given, okay, two dimension, only two dimension. These two dimensions are there, and they are asking about the Fermi wave vector, means K. So in 2D, what is your K? 2 pi n to the power 1 by 2. Okay, and you have to just this n is number of electrons per unit area. So this is n upon L square. Okay, and your L square is given to you 2 mm into 2 mm. Okay, so you can convert this in terms of centimeter square, because the dimension given here is centimeter in only. Okay, so put this value, okay, like this, and because all the things are in terms of 2 pi under root pi, so try to simplify this expression, okay, as these are the options. Okay, so you can like this. Okay, the main thing is the formula. Okay, you need to understand what is the formula. So see, these things now, density of states and Fermi energy now, they are most scoring topic of this solid state physics, okay, in NET and GATE exam. And I don't think the problems are very complicated. Okay, the problems are we can say on the medium level. So you just need to remember the formulas and just need to practice the questions. And this problem is, we can say, quite a different problem, and I will tell you how. Consider electrons in graphene, which is a planar monoatomic layer of carbon atoms. Okay, graphene is two dimension. Okay, planar they are talking about, so it's a two dimension case. If the dispersion relation of the electrons is taken to be, this is the dispersion relation for this system over the entire K space, then the Fermi energy EF depends on the number density of electrons rho s. So rho here is the number density, and you have to find out for this particular system, because they are already given us this relation. Okay, and for this we have to find out the Fermi energy dependence on this density rho. So we cannot use our direct formula of two dimension, because they have already this E in terms of K. So what you need to find out, first we need to write down the density of states for two dimension case in terms of small k. Okay, is small k. So you know the formula of okay, I think in next slide I'm
4 pi ma upon h square. density state.
Right. Okay. Okay, I'm giving, I will give you the, I'm telling you this, if you find this is confusing now, I will give you the whole expression in the next lecture tomorrow, how you can get these terms in term of this. Okay, so the exact formula, guys, if you are talking about the density of states, okay, so these formulas I have already mentioned you need to always remember these formula. But in general, how you can get the formula, as I think I already discussed with you now that okay, I discussed with you this 3-dimension graph now. So from here you can find out the density of state in 3D. So if we are in 2D, so the element will be, we will have the area element, okay. So it will be like n upon area of whole your we can say surface upon the total area occupied by a single electron, okay. So the area element will be what will be the area element if you will have a we can say ring or something. The diameter okay, no, the circumference, okay, is a pointer. The circumference is 2 pi k. If you have a circle, okay, if you have a circle, okay, having radius k, so the circumference will be 2 pi k. And if it's a ring and the width of that ring is dk, so what would be the area of that ring? 2 pi k dk. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
2 pi k dk. And one thing, we have to go back. Okay, this. This. So this is your 2 pi k dk is the area element, total area of your surface, and total area which is occupied by a single electron between will be pi by L ka whole square, because in 3D what we have written here, pi by L ka whole cube, so it will be square only, okay. And 1/4 is the correction factor, as we have already there. So in this way we can actually relate your density of states, okay, in terms of k, okay. So this is the exact thing, okay, this is the basic of thing. So you also are you also need to understand this thing, okay. If you cannot use the direct formula of 2D, that is 4 pi ma upon h square, so you need to choose this formula, the basic thing. And here we have the energy dispersion relation, epsilon k equals to ck is given. So what we need to replace this k, that will be k equals to epsilon upon c. So put the value of k epsilon upon c. So dk will be automatically, it will be d epsilon over c, d epsilon over c. So this will be your formula. So you have to find out the number of electrons. So what you can use, the number of states will be, what is gk dk, the last thing we used, okay. So it will be 0 to epsilon f into density of states, means once you integrate this density of states over this integral 0 to ef, and we are talking about at 0 Kelvin, at 0 temperature, all the states, all the electrons will be only up to the Fermi level. So that's why we are integrating this term from 0 to ef, means we are summarizing all the electrons from 0 to ef levels only, and it will be give you the total number of electrons, okay. de, you can integrate this term, it will be epsilon square over 2, okay. And this epsilon will be replaced by epsilon f, because this is a limit. So this will be your formula, okay. This is your formula, and your L over L square will be rho, okay. So your EF will be proportional to under rho, means rho to the power half. Now tell me, I think you will have some confusion in this question. So please ask me what confusions you have.
No, ma'am. No confusion.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes, please.
yeah. For example, here they given
Hmm.
graph in 2D like planar
Hmm.
thing, and if it is given like spherical or cylindrical thing means in area we can write cylindrical volume of cylinder or volume of sphere like that we need to write, or how it is, ma'am?
Who is speaking?
Shravya.
Shravya, देखो.
Yeah.
One thing, if either they given us some hint like it's a 3D thing, okay. So final thing is we are talking about in 3D structure, okay. So in 3D we will only take spherical shape, okay, not like cylindrical or something. So we will only take the sphere. So for sphere, this volume term will be surface area of your sphere multiplied by the dk element, okay. So what would be this volume element? It will be 4 pi k square dk. So if you are in 3D, it will be replaced from 4 pi k square dk, okay. That will be the volume, and this term will be pi over upon m,
Cube.
sorry, cube. And if we are in the 1D, so it will be simply dk.
dk. Okay.
Okay.
So surface element we need to write.
Right.
Okay.
And we have so many things now in next lecture. Now I will try to cover all the problems and all the required things. Okay. So आपको अच्छे से समझ में आ जाएगा and there will be no confusion at all. Okay. So if you can't use the given formula, simple formula for 1D, 2D, 3D, you will just use this formula. And one thing, guys, if this term is confusing yourself, okay, like 1 upon 4, why we are 1 upon 4, and if somehow you forget this term, it's quite okay, because you need in these types of questions now you just find out the relation, okay, the proportionality relationship, okay, the dependence only. So the constants are okay. If you forget now, it doesn't matter, okay. You need to remember, but it somehow if you forget, it's quite okay. Okay, so in this way you can find out the relationship. And okay, I think this is for you guys. You need to solve. It's simple, I guess. For a 2D free electron gas, the electronic density and it's very simple. You can do it. Okay. Tell me the answer. What is the answer?
C, ma'am.
Option B, ma'am. No, ma'am. No.
Justin?
Ma'am, Fermi energy for 2D, ma'am. EF equal to n pi h cut square by m. So
it will be
option A, ma'am.
Wrong. And Shravya, Pearl, Arya, Aarti.
Option B, C, ma'am.
Oh, nahin. How? Okay, you know the formula now. What is the formula? Just tell me.
Ma'am, Fermi energy equal to n pi h cut square by m, ma'am.
So what is this?
Yes, ma'am.
This is, hai na? So the problem is, I will tell you the problem. You know the formula now, but it's quite simple now. It's simple formula, n pi h square upon a. But you are confused, okay? And the reason is lack of practice, okay? And in exams now, in exams we have so many questions, okay, and we don't have time. And you are giving first time, second time, and third time, okay. So you will realize that there will be so many questions which will be like you can't read, okay, because the lack of time. So in this way you need to improve your speed. You need to improve your ability to just figure out the questions, just quick respond to the answers or questions. Okay, so practice is the key point. Okay, I'm telling you again and again, only practice makes you in that way that you can just immediately figure out the right answer if the question is quite simple like this. Okay, so do practice, guys. Only this I can tell you. So okay, so ask your queries if you have some doubts or something you want to ask. No problem, no doubt today.
It's about the last class. The question we did in the last class. We said that Einstein model for optical phonons and Debye model for acoustic phonons. And the reason we said that Einstein model is useful for high temperature and therefore it can be applied to optical branch.
Right.
But in Debye model, at high temperature, it follows Dulong-Petit law. And in Einstein's model also, it follows Dulong-Petit law at high temperature. So what's the difference?
Yeah, actually the energy range it follows now, it's quite different, because in Debye we only talk about, it's about the energy difference, means the sound energy and the optical energy. And I will give you the exact detail, because I forgot that in last lecture na, I told you to remember this thing na. So I will give you the whole the figures na, ki how it's related on this energy. Okay, because sound energy it is different from the optical energy, and this is the scenario why these two types of model depends on these different energies, and accordingly on different branches. Okay, so I will give you the exact details, exact numbers. Okay, so energy, so that you need not to remember. Okay, so I will remember tomorrow na, I will give you the exact details. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
ठीक है. इसमें कुछ क्वेश्चंस है तो you can ask me. और अगर like for my solid state physics na, you will have quiz in coming weekend. On coming weekend, no, I think 1 week later. Okay. Or one more important thing, guys, tomorrow now you will have class on atomic and on nuclear physics by Mr. Amrit Pal Singh, and the timing will be evening 7 p.m. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I will also intimate on WhatsApp. Okay, so be ready. It will be your first class on atomic. Okay.